Hello, my name is Rolf Agner, and welcome to On Air with SICK. In this podcast, we will discuss industry trends, product innovations, and some exemplary uses of sensor technology in today's market. As one of the world's leading providers of sensor intelligence technology, SICK has created this podcast as a way to provide our customers information on topics that are important to them. In this first season of our podcast, we're providing some valuable information on the use of autonomous mobile robots, or AMRs, in the manufacturing and material handling industries. Today on our show, I'm joined by two special guests. Our first guest is Michael Repplinger. He is the head of product management for mobile platforms at SICK's global headquarters in Germany. We should have a great conversation about SICK's roles in the world of mobile robotics. Michael Dold will also join us in this conversation. He is the Strategic Industry Manager for Industrial Vehicles at SICK's global headquarters. He can provide some insights on the future of industrial vehicles and how he is seeing them be implemented in some industries. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Michael Repplinger, can you just give us an idea of how you see SICK's role and why SICK is so excited about this mobile industry marketplace?
Yeah, it's a really interesting market because we from SICK have provided sensors for AGVs and mobile vehicles for a long time now. We see it is growing and growing by numbers. So more and more of these robots are on the market, but on the other hand, the technology requirements for robots just increase. So that means we as a sensor supplier also have to adjust and create new products to fit those markets.
AMRs, or AGVs, have been around for a long time. I actually began working with AGVs back in the early 1980s, and they were far simpler than they are today. They followed wire guides in the floor, or in some cases we had some navigational reflectors that we followed. And once you set a route, it was pretty routine, and they were pretty much limited to carrying only skids around a plant or maybe towing some kind of tuggers. But the vehicles have certainly changed in sophistication. And could you get into a little more about the different kinds of products that have come out recently in order to accommodate the needs and what's happening with these mobile platforms, as they're now being called these days?
Yeah, sure. So basically, you already said it. We see that those mobile platforms, or AMRs, are now designed to do many more tasks, more versatile tasks than it did in the past. And that pretty much also goes for the sensors. So it means our sensors also have to be able to perform multiple tasks. So usually we don't see one sensor for one task anymore. And that's exactly how SICK is going on with this product roadmap. So we see more and more safety products that also take other responsibilities, like providing raw data for navigation and localization. And that's another part. So we are also launching software-based products for localization. That's one of the trends that we're seeing in general, that our sensors have to do more and more tasks in one housing, so to speak, but at the same time, we can add additional value to our customers by offering them software stacks that can put all those sensor data together. And that is also one big trend we see with the AMRs.
So you're saying that products like perhaps scanners that we've had in the past, LiDAR type of devices that scan and were used exclusively for safety function to keep as anti-collision devices or as personnel protection, are now being used for additional tasks using some of the information that they have available?
Yes, exactly. And we can use that additional information then to create new opportunities to find, also to offer data-based products to our customers. So that means our sensors see the world, no matter it's a LiDAR scanner or a camera. And usually if they only perform one task, like telling the AGV if there's something in front of it, that's really boring. That limits their capabilities. So as we have a lot of data of the environment, we can also use that and bring that to more value to the customers. So by already pre-processing that data and giving them more opportunities, more things to do with our products.
Very interesting. So they're being used then for perhaps navigation, or the products are providing, I think one of the new terms that we have been using is localization information, so they can provide what they see out there, and that can be used for navigational purposes or for identifying different products or positioning. Is that what I understand?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, our sensors see the world around them, and when they create a map of the environment they're in, they can always tell the AGV where it is at. Same goes, for example, like cameras on the vehicle that are used to enter collision. When they now look at a pallet or a bin, so this camera can actually also be used to position the AMR right in front of the pallet or a robot or wherever you want to go to. So this is exactly what we're seeing, that we're using technologies for localization, telling things where are things and how to position a robot towards those things.
Are there any other changes as far as trends of product that these mobile vehicles are moving, or is it getting more functional as far as different tasks instead of perhaps maybe not just moving something from point A but to point B, but also being used for additional purposes too?
Oh yeah, so in general, we at SICK break down the different tasks around AGVs in three different categories. First of all, is any AGV, any AMR has to move somehow from A to B. So we provide products, and those are really scalable products, from simple to a high-end way to get an AGV driving from A to B. If it's localization, navigation, encoders for distance readings, whatever. So that's one part. And the other part, second part is going from A to B. Well, the AGV should do that safe. So it means it should not hit anything or anybody. And then we also at SICK have a really broad portfolio of sensors, once again, scalable in price and performance to help the AGV do that task. And then last but not least, usually those AMRs go around with a full purpose, and that usually is to transport something. And that's exactly what you said. So now we can combine those three things, like going from A to B, being safe, and then in the end, identifying a load or position the AGV in front of a load. And all of that we can now do with one sensor, where in the past we might have needed three different sensors for. So this is really the trend that we're seeing with products on a hardware-based scale.
Very interesting. I think also, at least I think I've noticed, and perhaps we could have Michael Dold comment on this, but I think I'm seeing, from my experience being in distribution centers, different plants, retail or factory automation facilities, I'm seeing AMRs now moving smaller items instead of only not just skids, but perhaps even doing a little more interacting with personnel or providing people with products that they can now take and do their tasks with. Their tasks are changing somewhat. Do you see that in a trend, Mr. Dold?
Yeah, of course. So if you're looking back, then usually the most awareness was with HEVs when they carried pallets. That was first big step, moving pallets and also bends. Later on, also rolls or certain kind of conveyors. So in the meantime, what we can see, and also from the quantity, the increase is much more on smaller vehicles, where we see lightweight transportation systems carrying small parts, and of course much more of this than we had in the past. And that is of course a trend where these kind of vehicles are entering also production logistics sites, when they moving material into the floor shop and in production line, to get rid of this very big and huge transportation solutions of the past.
Yes, definitely what I see. I can see more and more of these automated robotic type of vehicles doing even more things in retail. I was quite surprised when I was in a hospital not too long ago, and I'm walking down the corridor, and here comes a vehicle. And lo and behold, yes, I could see the SICK product on it. I was very pleased to see some blue and some yellow. But it was obviously it was carrying, I believe it was pharmaceuticals and medicines from one location to another. And I was just kind of curious, and being experienced with this, I didn't get out of the way. I just stood there, and sure enough, it did stop and pause and waited for me to move around before it continued on. And that was a little bit of relief to see it was working properly, but I found that very interesting. So it was doing kind of like an automatic delivery of product to a location. And the product was not a skid, it was individual things. So it was going to some location where there'd be a person who was probably going to be taking individual items, picking items from there, and then applying them for their needs. I think this is a trend that we're seeing in the industry also, more and more of these type of things happening.
Yeah, of course. We had already a lot of applications in hospital, but in earlier days, it was completely separated. So all the vehicles had their own logistic aisles and gangways where they transported all the stuff. In the meantime, you can also see, as you mentioned, that these kind of mobile robots are also carrying stuff, medicine, hygienic stuff, to the areas where the people are moving around. So they have to be equipped, of course, with sensoric, which allows to have these kind of vehicles in areas where we have mixed traffic. So this is one of the major requirements we have to fulfill.
So what do you see as far as your vision of what is going to be happening in the next 1 to 2, 3 years? What trends do you see with these type of products or newer products coming out, especially with regard to this global pandemic and how it has changed the lifestyles of people, and so many more things being delivered and ordered online? I heard a term recently called, instead of retail, e-tail is happening, and it certainly has been a trend in our household.
Yeah, I think it will have an impact on different sides and different ways. I can imagine that we have experienced a lot of problems by providing material which is not produced here in our hemispheres. So it comes maybe from the other side of the globe. And now everybody experiencing how hard this can be if the coverage of this distribution cuts, or is interrupted. So I expect that a lot of, for instance, medicine will come back to maybe US, to Europe, produced also locally. And to make this happen, they need, of course, a very high degree on automation. And that can only be fulfilled if you have also mobile robots doing their jobs. So I see a trend exactly in this direction, where production is not only something which is on the other side of the world. We will see much more production back into the areas where it is needed. And of course, as you have said already, e-commerce is already one of the biggest driver in logistics. And these will increase, of course, and also there we have a lot of manual logistic hubs and storages, and these, of course, will be step-by-step automated, and therefore the need for autonomous or mobile robots will increase, definitely.
Yes, and I certainly see the trend and the need for, you mentioned the word intelligence. Everything is becoming, it needs to be much more intelligent. That allows them to be more flexible and not as fixed as far as their routines. It appears there's going to be much more interaction with people and individuals, and that's why they have to be more intelligent, so that they can make intelligent decisions on what they're going to do. It all boils down to productivity also, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, in the end, we also see a trend there that was already mentioned by Michael and also by you. We have a lot of human-operated assets in the industry, and now, especially with COVID-19, shows us people are ordering more individual items. So we're pursuing this trend of lot size one manufacturing and also delivery. And now I think the next step is that those assets that are being used by humans will step by step be automized, so that we will also see a combination, because all those human workers will not be replaced by AMRs immediately. It's more likely that some of the tasks and even some of the assets or tools humans are using can also be used by robots or can be self-automated. We can pretty much compare that to how the automotive industry is working. In the beginning, we had driver assistance systems. So the person was still driving the car, and the car was telling us if we were crossing the lane or something like that. And now more and more, we will see that even cars on the road becoming autonomous. And the same things are happening in the industry and even for much longer time. And that is exactly what you mentioned by things have to get smarter, more intelligent. How do things usually get more intelligent? We need software products. And that's another great thing that we are working on at SICK with, for example, with AppSpace and many other platforms where we can easily integrate our sensors that we have and have customers or our service departments tailor the solution of such combinations of manual and autonomous works together, so that we're really coming to this point where we can make our sensors smarter, and not only in the factory, but where the sensors are produced, but really on site at the customer where the final application happens. And so we can always adjust to the application. We can grow with the application, and that is really a great thing, and it's supported by SICK's AppSpace.
AppSpace is an interesting concept to me. It's something that I think, needed for a long time. I've been with SICK for many years, and when I first started, we produced products, and the products, we offered them to customers, but very often the products by themselves didn't do anything. It was up to the customer to make them do things for specific applications. And AppSpace is a software platform that can be used with our products, integrated into our products, and then it makes coming up with those specific applications much more programmable or defined to do specific applications. Is that correct? Is that how I see it?
Yeah, correct. It gives way more flexibility to us as a producer of sensors, but also to the customer to individualize their product, their application, and even grow the application.
Yeah, again, all part of intelligence and making things adaptable. Bottom line is it's going to make things more productive if we can make things more flexible. And it, of course, all boils down to ROI, return on investment, for purchasing products, justifying products, and even as far as we as a manufacturer making products. All these justifications have to be done if we see the appropriate need for it in the market. Is that what you see, Mr. Dold, also?
Yeah, of course. What we also see is that specific needs of our customer differ very much. So just to come up with a standard product will not help so much for the individual uses of our specific customer groups. So by using, for instance, AppSpace helps us a lot to be much faster in the market, to have individual solutions which helps the customer specific on his problems, and be flexible also for future aspects when new kind of technologies are coming up, so we can implement that, and we can also fuse different kind of sensors together and solving applications which were not possible in the past. So this helps us a lot, and we can speed up extremely our time to market phase.
Yeah, so, and always part of that is becoming more intimate with customers, working with customers more closely instead of just providing customers with products and letting them do their own thing with it, understanding what their needs are and making sure our products can give the customers enough flexibility so they can be cleverly used in many kinds of applications. Very good. Is there anything else you would like to add, either of you, Michaels, to the conversation?
Yeah, maybe one interesting field. One interesting field we should also touch is that in the past we were mainly inside of, let's say, warehouses and manufacturing in shop floors. That was our area where our customer asked for our products. This has changed since 1 to 2 years. because we can also provide sensors, especially safety sensors, which are working also in outdoor conditions. And with that, we can open the doors, maybe from one production area, one production site to the other, which is extremely needed in automotive industry when they want to carry or transport maybe parts of a car from one production hall to the other one. And then these kind of milk runs can also use our sensors to bridge over these areas. So this is also a very, very important business field where we can provide better solutions to these customer needs. And we see a lot of new application examples for the future there.
Yeah, it's certainly opening up many doors, so to speak. Safety scanners in the past, from my experience and working with them, has always been indoor only. It's always has been listed in the manuals. And now, recently, in the last year or two, we have introduced products that are capable and rated for outdoor applications. And it will certainly open up the transport of products or the ability for them to work indoors and outdoors in these applications.
Yeah,
opening up is actually a good point, because I want to quickly refer to one thing you said earlier, Rolf. Working with customers, opening up, and that's exactly the point. As we were discussing, that everything is getting faster and faster and more tightly connected. That also means that we have to work differently together with our customers. So we're growing a much more closer relationship with them. And also that means the developments are going in a different way. We're really close to the customer. We're listening to them. They're telling us what to do. They're giving us new ideas. We're bringing those ideas back. So that is also, to answer your very first question, what makes it so exciting to be in this field with SICK, because we're really in this market that is growing. We're close to the customers. We can create products that really have a value, and we can create something new. We can invent new things. So that's also what the opportunity is here, and what makes it great for us.
And it is an opportunity. I find it very exciting myself. Well, I thank you very much. I found it a very interesting conversation. All I can say is, both of you in Germany, stay safe.
Thank you.
Well, that's all for today's episode of On Air with SICK. Thanks for listening, and thank you to Michael Repplinger and Michael Dold for providing insights on mobile robots and industrial vehicles in the market. Join us again next time when we talk about safety in robotics and the differences between an AMR, AGC, and an AGV. If you ever want more information on anything we talk about in this podcast, send us an email at info@sick.com. Until next time, I'm Rolf Agner, and this has been On Air with SICK.